Anita Singer to close the case for the opposition tonight.
Thank you very much, Madam President. It's a pleasure to be here and to address the Oxford Union. Now, I have to let you in on a little secret as to why I'm speaking against this motion. When I was first invited to speak on this topic, the committee appeared to believe that I was likely to speak on the affirmative. And they sent me this motion, which is, you remember, worded, "This House believes that it is immoral to be a billionaire." And I said, look, I'm sorry, I can't really affirm that motion because it suggests that the moment that you become a billionaire, you are immoral, even although there are several billionaires, they may not be the majority, but there are several of them, who are thoughtfully giving away 99% of their wealth and thinking about what are the best causes. I said, if you would change the motion to "It is immoral to die a billionaire," I will be happy to be on the affirmative. And indeed I would have been. But the committee in its wisdom chose not to change that motion. There would be another possible motion that I would have been happy to be on the affirmative of, and that is, it would be better to have a tax system in which it was not possible to become a billionaire and the tax revenue was used for purposes such as helping people in poverty, solving climate change, and the various other things that have been mentioned on that side. That is also not the motion we are debating. So with great respect, the speech that you've just heard from Professor Mirza Baradan is really not to the point. I can agree that it would be much better if we had higher taxes and a democratic polity that actually allocated money really effectively to where it's most needed, to solving homelessness in Oxford as you wish, to overcoming climate change, to helping people in extreme poverty, bringing that 3.7 billion people who are the poorer half of the world better off. All of those things would be good. Sadly, it's not the world we're living in today. The world we're living in today is one in which it is possible to become a billionaire, and there are many people who have become billionaires, and some of them, many of them if you like, most of them I'll accept, are immoral because they are not thinking hard about how to give away their wealth most effectively. But the motion that we have before us is in the present tense. It says it is immoral, not it would be immoral, present indicative, not conditional, it would be immoral under some other system. And it is universal. It doesn't say most, doesn't say the typical. It just says it is immoral to be a billionaire. I think, with respect to Brian over there, I think we have to take that literally, right? And you should know that as someone doing philosophy. We can't just write in. Thank you. We can't just write into this the idea that somehow we're talking about some average or some stereotype of billionaires. We are, if you vote for this motion, you are condemning all people who are billionaires. So let's think about that in a little more specific, what you're doing. You're saying that Bill and Melinda Gates are immoral, despite the fact that they set up the Gates Foundation, operating in accordance with the belief, which is prominent on their website, that all lives are equal. They talk about how, Bill Gates talks about how horrified he was when he discovered that children were dying from as simple a disease as diarrhea, which we know how to cure. And he wanted to do something about that. The Gates have given so far $50 billion to endow that foundation, and there's going to be more to come. You're saying that they're immoral, although they have undoubtedly already saved, and the foundation has been going 19 years now, they have undoubtedly already saved several million lives, perhaps more than any other living person today. You're also saying that Warren Buffett is immoral, although Warren Buffett has given more than $30 billion to the Gates Foundation, and has said that he plans to give away 99% of his wealth. Warren Buffett also set up an organisation called Responsible Wealth, which is an advocacy organisation for such things as estate taxes, death duties in other words. Here's one of the richest men in the world saying it's a scandal that the United States effectively does not have any death duties, that that's a fair tax and people who are rich should have to pay, should not be able to pass on vast sums to their heirs. Warren Buffett has also gone public in saying that it's a scandal that there are billionaires who can take advantage of tax loopholes and pay an effective rate of tax that is lower than the rate that his secretary pays. And he's trying to change that. So these are people who are trying to change the very system that the people on this side of the house are criticising. Now perhaps you say, well, philanthropy is not the right thing, we need serious political change to change this system. Okay, but if you vote for this motion, you are saying that Tom Steyer and his wife, Kat Taylor, are immoral. They are the largest donors to the Democratic Party politics in the United States. They supported both Barack Obama's campaigns very heavily. They supported Hillary Clinton's campaigns. They have supported a lot of congressional candidates, a significant number of whom won in the 2018 election. They have been particularly concerned about climate change, and they have set up a non-profit organisation called Next Gen America to try to make sure that climate change is a more prominent issue, if possible, on the political scene. And Steyer has also said that he's in favour of raising personal taxes on upper income people. So he's trying to change this. No, thank you. You're also condemning as immoral Dustin Moskovitz and Carrie Tuna. Now, it's been said on this side that if you become a billionaire, you've exploited people in some way. Dustin Moskovitz was lucky enough to be a co-founder of Facebook. So he was writing some code, I guess, no thank you. He was writing some code and he became very wealthy. He became a billionaire. Those of you who think that Facebook in itself is totally immoral and you should have nothing to do with it, and therefore who do not have any Facebook accounts or go to any Facebook pages, if you feel like you want to vote for the affirmative because you think anybody who got wealthy through Facebook is a billionaire, okay, you're entitled to. The rest of you, I don't think you're in any position to condemn people who made billions through Facebook and, like Dustin Moskovitz and Carrie Tuna, then thought hard about how to give nearly all of it away. And what they did is they supported GiveWell, which is an organisation that assesses the best charities working to reduce global poverty. And then they also set up another organisation called Open Philanthropy, which is looking at other ways of affecting change, not necessarily through standard philanthropy for the poor, but perhaps through political change, through various other kinds of reforms. It's completely open. Now, they have been giving away large amounts of money. They've also supported, incidentally, the Centre for Effective Altruism here in Oxford. They have been giving away large amounts of money, but they are getting really bright people to research where the best value is. So if you vote for this motion, you're effectively saying, once you've got $1 billion, you've got to get rid of it, fast, otherwise you're immoral. What they're saying is, no, sorry, I don't have time. What they're saying is, it takes thought, it takes research to give away billions of dollars effectively. You can't just do it all at once, you'll end up wasting most of it. You want to be sure that you're doing it as well as possible, otherwise you're wasting it, and that could mean that more people die from preventable diseases. It could be that political reforms do not succeed. It could be that climate change continues when there would be ways of slowing it. It takes thought to find these things out, and that's the kind of thing that I think we should be respecting those relatively few, I admit, relatively few billionaires who do this. And we should not simply have a blanket condemnation of billionaires that if you vote for this motion, you will be having. So Now, one other thing that might be said is, I think was said by our last speaker, we want to build a different system in which the democratic polity controls where the money goes, decides on the best causes and puts it to it. Fine. Again, let me say, I will certainly join you in trying to build that polity in which we have a good democratic structure, we have good taxes, we use the revenue for the best purposes. And perhaps there are some countries that operate quite well that way. Perhaps if we were restricting this to Sweden, let's say, we might think this is good enough already to work with. But we're not talking about that. We're talking perhaps about the United States, where if more money goes into tax revenue, what's going to happen with it? Well, Donald Trump will get more money to build his wall. That's a great use of money compared to what Bill and Melinda Gates are doing, isn't it? Or perhaps it'll go into more military spending. Perhaps it'll go into more weapons that go to the Saudis, who are currently using American weapons in Yemen, in one of the worst human rights atrocities we've seen in recent decades. That is not the system we're in, and I'm happy, I have to say, that people like Gates and Buffett and Carrie Tuna and Dustin Moskovitz and Tom Steyer and Kat Taylor, that they actually have money that they can put to really good causes. And it's not just the United States. On the day that I arrived in the United Kingdom a few days ago, I looked at the newspaper and it said that the UK government has paid £97 million to advisors for the Brexit negotiations. Well, would you really rather tax revenues go to paying the advisors on the Brexit negotiations £97 million rather than go to the kinds of causes that I've described that these billionaires are carrying out? I don't really think we should. So I urge you to be reasonably literal-minded in thinking about this motion. If this is a house that makes decisions, then it should be careful in the decisions that it makes. We don't want, if we were a parliament, we wouldn't want to pass legislation that was carelessly drafted and produced outcomes that we don't want to see. And I think if we are making statements about morality for people who are actual people who are living in this world today, I think we want to be careful before we rush to judgment about all of them. And so given the way this motion has been phrased, I urge you to think seriously, to put aside your progressive ideas, which I no doubt share, but which might bias you to thinking, oh, billionaires, bad, unfair system, unjust, 26 billionaires have as much as 3.7 billion or whatever it is, that's a terrible system, we've got to vote for this motion. No, you've got to say, I would like an opportunity to discuss a different motion on another occasion where we can talk about this system. Thank you. But today I'm going to vote on the motion before me, and that means I have to vote no. Thank you very much.